Hello everyone, this is Steven from the Even Steven channel. Today's video is going to be entitled Old Carry versus New Carry, Sig P230 versus Smith & Wesson Shield. Now this isn't necessarily going to be a video to say this gun is better than that gun or that gun's better than that gun. I want to talk a little bit about carry guns, guns in general, how they've changed over the years and why they've changed. So not directly to say which gun's better than which, but maybe just how guns have changed over the last few years, or decades really. So what do we have? We have the Sig P230, which is distinct from the 320. It's not. It's not dyslexia. I didn't flip that around by mistake. It's the 230, and the way you can tell the 230 from the 320 is the 230 is a safe gun. So like I said, we got the Sig, I think at this point referred to as Sig Arms. Oh, is it Sig Sauer? Okay. Sig Sauer. Sig Arms. Sig P230. And we have the Smith & Wesson Shield. Now I think this is a good example of an earlier kind of carry gun. 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, actually quite a few decades there, that something like this might be viable. And we have something like this, the Smith & Wesson Shield, which is a little more modern, lacking some of the latest and greatest features like an optics cut, let's say optics cuts, but you know, it's of the type. So let's go through these two guns. I want to talk about how they're different, why they're different, and just kind of just like talk about guns in general. Here we go. I'm just fooling around. Don't mind me. So first we'll start with the magazines. First of all, the magazine release is right here. This is a heel release. And what that does is it makes the magazine a little more secure. You're not gonna hit this accidentally. It's not gonna pop out on its own. So it's a little slower, no doubt. But you can get pretty good at it if you practice. And you know, for a carry gun, for a concealed gun, for a gun that's not quite a front line combat pistol, you know, something like that might not be a bad idea. You know, this is a single stack 380 magazine, follower, plastic base plate. You know, those things haven't changed all that much over the years. The Smith & Wesson Shield, I guess I could use that one, but Smith & Wesson Shield has a little bit of a stagger to it, not too much, but again, we got a plastic base plate, a metal body. Oh, this one has a polymer plastic follower, so that's it. That's a difference. This one's just a little bit harder to load. Not too much, but a little bit harder to load. So the magazines are kind of more or less the same. Let's talk about the construction of the guns. So the Sig P230 has an aluminum frame with plastic grips. Pretty thick, actually. If you got any of the stainless models would have been made of stainless steel, and they would have been slightly heavier. The Smith & Wesson Shield has a polymer frame, so I think it's just a little more economical. Not necessarily better or worse. I don't think, like, you know, you would think maybe the Shield would be a lighter gun. Actually, I don't. I think the P230 is maybe like an ounce lighter. So this might be approximately 19 ounces. This might be about 18 ounces. So just holding them in my hand, this does seem a little bit lighter. Just a little bit, maybe an ounce. I don't know the exact measurements. I think this is closer to 18. Sorry, this is closer to 19. It's close to 18. So the P230 is just ever so slightly lighter of a gun, despite this being a polymer frame and that being an aluminum frame. Let's see. It's how these guns different. Well, you know, their mechanisms are very different. So this is a hammer-fired gun. Be fired in single action or double action. It's intended to be carried. Basically, you would have it. This will lock open when you run the slide and the magazine's empty. So try not to do that. So also trying not to hit my tripod. Failing a lot of things. It's intended to be carried, you know, loaded with the decocker. First shot, double action. Slide reciprocates. Subsequent shots, single action. So we got the decocker, we got the hammer, And this is basically a straight blowback gun. That the gun is using the mass and inertia of the slide, the resistance of the recoil spring, the resistance of the hammer spring to kind of contain everything and make it safe. And for a 380 gun, which this is, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, that's considered perfectly acceptable. Now this is a 9mm handgun, and it is a short recoil, Browning style action. And with short recoil, it means that when you fire the gun, make sure it's unloaded, even though I know it's not, the slide and the barrel are going to stay together just a little bit, just a little, although it's at a very short amount of time. Actually, that almost unlocks immediately. On a lot of other guns, you can typically show this a lot better, but for a very short amount of time, the slide and the barrel kind of reciprocate together. But there you can see the unlocking there. The gun will fire, the bullet will fly down the barrel, the slide will, at a slower rate, reciprocate with the barrel, and then it unlocks, and it is and this this camming or tilting of this barrel supposedly does a lot to contain the pressure of the gun when it fires, and just having a tilting barrel over a blowback gun just kind of trying to find the words that I can't find, but just kind of contain the pressure of the cartridge better. 9mm is a more powerful cartridge, and to have a safe 9mm handgun, people typically go with a tilting barrel like that. That locking and unlocking, that tilting, just helps contain the pressure that a blowback operated 9mm gun might have problems with. Let's see what else we should talk about. Should talk about well, you know, I talked about blowback and tilting barrels. Let's take the guns apart and show you a little bit of that. This is what I was talking about, and maybe I should take the guns apart earlier to show this. This is a straight blowback pistol. The barrel is basically pinned or fixed onto the gun. I'm actually not sure how to take it off. I think you have to tell them by this pin right here. And like I said, it's just straight blowback. So there's no tilting, no camming. Smith & Wesson shield. Did I do it right? Oh, let's see. There it is. These are significantly different in how they're designed. You know, this is a double captive recoil spring. This is a big, very much singular spun thing. That's what I was talking about with the tilting barrel. Kind of cams at the here, up and down. So yeah, these are significantly different. Interesting how big this ejection port is compared to this. Do you need an ejection port this big? Probably not. It's nice to have, though. Take a look at sights. This is again, you have a square post here, kind of a square, and then a white dot in the front. And you get a little, seeing a little picture here. You know, shooting this gun for a while and then going out to this. These sights seem just huge and gigantic. Got like a 3-dot variety there going on. I think today a lot of people are going to white dot and then a black dot rear, but again, this is not uncommon. These come back together. Remember last time trying to put this together, I had trouble doing this. The gun wasn't quite locking back when I wanted it to. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. There it goes. These shields, the recoil spring's very tight. Very stiff. And these blowback guns can be a little obnoxious to put back together. And it's not quite one to do it. I'm going to have to pause here for a second. Excuse me, everyone. I apologize for the interruption. Sometimes, I've talked before, it's a little hard to kind of get everything quite lined up where you want it to go to get this gun in particular back together. But we have a polymer framed striker fired gun, 9mm, and we have a metallic framed, aluminum framed hammer fired gun in 380. Let's talk a little bit about cartridges. So unfortunately I've shot all of my 380 ammo. I don't have any with me right now. But 380 is 95 grains, going approximately. Actually, this is pretty. I thought this is hotter than I remember. It says 980 feet per second. I thought that was close to 900. But you know, again, typically 90 to 95 grains, going 900 to 2,000 feet per second. And 9mm Luger, which we know to be 9mm. Now we all assume 9mm is 9mm Luger like this. 380 is also a 9mm cartridge. And again, I apologize, I don't have 380 to show you, but this is 9mm, and it's going to have a slightly shorter case. 9mm has a 19mm case. 380 has a 17mm case. And the bolts could be just slightly smaller, maybe just a little more rounded. If you put 380 and 9mm together, they're kind of hard to tell the difference sometimes. And 9mm is 115, 124 grains, going about 1,000, 1,100 feet per second. So without a doubt, I don't think there's a feet per second notation on here. 9mm is a more powerful cartridge. It is. That's without question. However, you know, maybe you don't always want the most powerful cartridge for a carry gun. And there was a time, I feel old, there was a time where cartridges like 25 ACP and 32 ACP were considered perfectly acceptable as concealed carry firearms. Now, those aren't quite dead cartridges, but no one's really making new guns anymore. There's like one 25 ACP pistol. It's really funky. I think it's like called like the Phoenix Arms something. I forget what it is. It's super cheap, and that's the only reason people buy it. But it has like 8 different safeties on it. It's a weird gun. And in 32 ACP, I think the only new production gun is basically the Beretta Tomcat. So, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at that, 380 ACP is considered the bare minimum for concealed carry pistols, and people still look down on it. I'm just going to say that people have standardized so much on 9mm. I don't think there's been a time in history where people have standardized on a cartridge, a handgun cartridge, so much that everyone is just all 9mm all the time. And you know, maybe you want something a little less powerful as a concealed carry firearm. Just saying. Just saying. Now let's take a look at these two guns. Let's take a look at accuracy. Take a look at accuracy. This is just casual shooting, kind of cold. I really hadn't shot either of these guns in a week or two. And we have, I didn't mark them, but I remember what it was. This is Sig P230 at 10 yards. Oh, I'm trying to find, I was like, did I miss one? 5 shots at 10 yards. I have a little trouble getting it all on the camera, on the frame. There we go. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 yards. It's an okay one. And the shield, I think the shield group at 10 yards is probably a little better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, these guns are pretty good. They're relatively small, but pretty good. This is Sig P230 at 20 yards, so twice as much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's pretty good. Huh? These aren't big guns. This is Smith & Wesson Shield at 20 yards. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all pretty good. And we got one that kind of just goes off. I don't know what I did. Maybe it was just me. That one a little bit high. So that was just me shooting one time. I'll say both these guns are still pretty accurate. Blowback operated guns, fixed barrel guns like these, tend to have a very good reputation for accuracy, and I think that's still deserved. Yes. Is it more accurate than a shield? Maybe just a hair. Practically speaking, doesn't matter. No. Let's talk about the shooting experience. So the Sig P230 really doesn't want you to get a very high grip on it, like a modern shooting grip, because just the ergonomics, this beaver tail curves up so much. This is going to hit you in the hand. It's going to hurt a lot. In fact, I was talking to someone about this today. So what I tend to do when I shoot this gun is I kind of go lower and I kind of wrap my left hand around here like this, almost like a revolver technique. Because this gun was released in 1977, imported in the United States in 1985. So this gun has 1970s ergonomics. So that's a ding. It just is. This gun is, maybe it made it a time where people were still expected to shoot with one hand, like James Bond shooting with one hand. You ever see old James Bond videos where James Bond is shooting with one hand? Because there was a time where that was considered acceptable. Today, we want to get as high in the gun as we can. See, I think the beaver tail is a little less pronounced. Let me see. At the very least, this is more rounded. But this is definitely made with modern shooting techniques in mind, where you can get a nice high grip on it, good control. Where this one is kind of forcing you down. And the shooting impulse of this gun, as long as you keep your hand down lower, you're fine. The shooting impulse of shooting a gun like this is different. There is less recoil. However, it's more abrupt, it's more sharp, it's more snappy. The shooting impulse is shorter. So there's less recoil, but you get that less recoil very, very quickly. The Smith & Wesson Shield has more recoil overall. However, it's more like it's delayed somehow. Again, that short recoil action that I don't think I show very well is kind of a delaying. And it kind of spreads the shooting impulse out more. Where this is a really snap, boom. This is more of a. That's all very scientific, I know. I'm having fun making this video. I don't know if anyone's going to watch this video. I'm having fun making it. So they're just different. The shooting impulse on this gun it's going to be less recoil, but it's going to be snappier. On this gun, there's going to be more recoil overall, but it's going to be perceived to be over a slightly longer period of time. That'll make it maybe a little more pleasant to shoot. Now, is there anything left to say about these two guns, or these two styles of guns? This older style of 380 blowback, or this newer style of short recoil 9mm? I don't know. I don't really think so. I think this video has kind of run its course. Now, which one do I like more, if I could choose? That's a tough one. I'm probably going to choose the Shield. Try to choose between these two guns, because I'm pretty sure I could turn around and sell this and make a lot more money than selling a Shield. This is a very utilitarian, a very functional gun. It's very common. It's easy to get magazines, easy to get this and that. I never really did sights or trigger upgrades, but they exist. Holsters exist. They're easy to find. However, there is a mystique. There is a air of sophistication to the Sig P230. It is a classy gun, begging for, honestly, a shoulder holster. You don't show off your Smith & Wesson Shield to your friends. You would show off your Sig P230 to your friends. Just saying. there's an air of sophistication class that that other guns just simply do not have. Now, like I said, the Shield is a more practical gun. It's more common. It's in production right now. The 230, I think I talked about in other videos. I had to replace the magazine springs. I replaced the recoil springs. You need some upkeep. There might be a time in the future where those parts might not be available anymore. Magazines are hard to find. I bought a Smith & Wesson Shield magazine for like $10 in a used bin. That's not a joke. I picked up a 7-round, one of these two. One of these two is a used one. I think it's this one. For like $10. It was sitting in like some kind of clearance bin, used. Worked fine. These magazines are like $80 each. So I only have two. So like I said, the Shield is the more functional, practical gun. The P230, I mean, it's just so cool. I'm not planning on getting rid of either one of these guns right away, but I don't want to get rid of either one. I want to carry both. They're both cool guns. I think that this video has run its course. So anyway, this is Steven from the Even Steven channel. Please do all the like, share, and subscribing. Maybe I'd like to see your opinion. Which one do you think is better, or why? And I will see you next time. Thank you, and goodbye.